kinds of reasons. We thought we were set up to fail. We got started late. We had a very short time frame. Indeed, we had to get it extended. We did not have enough money. They were afraid we were going to hang somebody, that we would point the finger.
Lee and I write in our book that we think the commission in many ways was set up to fail because we had not enough money, we didn't have enough time, we'd been appointed by the most partisan people in Washington.
At any point during this day, were you just, in a very base way, afraid?
There were many times, Miles, that you were afraid. You were worried, especially when I was standing in front of the Pentagon that night, seeing one of our fortresses pried open by a missile airplane.
Today, some relatives of people who were killed in the attacks criticized the agreement, and our next guest, who's a member of the commission, claimed the deal is disgusting. Former Georgia Senator Max Cleland, a Democrat, joins me here.
Well, you've used the word deal 3 times. I don't think the 9/11 Commission ought to be making deals with our own government under the responsibility we have from the Congress and our responsibility to the American people to get all the facts about all the commissioners. Look at those facts. Now, we've had to subpoena the FAA for those documents. We've had to subpoena NORAD for those documents. I'm in favor of subpoenaing the White House for the documents we need so that all the commissioners can get to see all the documents that we need. That's the only way we can face the American people and the families and say we have done a thorough investigation independently of the White House and the entire executive branch. The President has said only a minority of the commission can see a minority of the documents, and then they have to clear what they're going to say to the rest of the commission with the White House.
If you're one of those 4 that gets to see these documents, would that change your opinion?
No. They don't want any more eyeballs to see their documents than they can possibly get away with. It's a scam. It's absolutely disgusting.
In 2006 issue of the Washington Post, where you and 5 other members of the commission said that you felt you were lied or misled during the commission. The question I have for you is, if you and 5 of your counterparts felt that you were lied or misled, how can we as the American public know that you were lied to or misled? And do you feel that we could have a new investigation?
You know, I'd have to get into it. I can't answer.
This is for you. And every
Yeah. Anyway,
thank you. Do you support a criminal investigation into 9/11? Because I know yours was an exposition. It was not a criminal investigation.
I don't think so, but I don't know. I mean, I do support a permanent commission to examine not just that, but lots of other things in this area.
But if it's a permanent cover-up, then it's. I mean, if it's an act of war and it's hiding things, which everyone on your commission knew that the Pentagon was changing their stories, lying to you, right. And it's a cover-up of an act of war, and under Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution, it's treason. So unless we get to the very bottom of it, then we're still talking a treasonous exposition.
This is a longer conversation. I'm not sure you ever get to the bottom of it.
We have to, or we can't save our countries.
I don't think. Well, if that's the condition upon which we're going to be saving our country, because the problem is it's a 30-year-old conspiracy.
No, I'm talking about 9/11.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you are. You mean this?
Yeah. Anyway, I got it.
Okay,
thanks.
Thank
you.
We were getting all kinds of false reports all day about Muslims dancing on the rooftops of mosques, which turns out not to be true, about other attacks that might have happened in Times Square, which turned out not to be true. The basic rule of thumb was that almost everything you heard turned out not to be true that day.
The commissioners have ties to the very parties they are investigating, like the CIA, banking, and financial interests, and Bush administration officials. For example, Philip Zelikow wrote a book with Condoleezza Rice. Zelikow was also one of the primary authors of NSS 2002. Vice Chairman Lee Hamilton said, quote, "We're not interested in trying to assess blame. We do not consider that a part of the Commission's responsibility." Dr. David Ray Griffin, author of The New Pearl Harbor and Christian Faith and the Truth Behind 9/11, mentions the revisionism and fallacies of the report in his book, The 9/11 Commission Report, Omissions and Distortions.
You backtrack every one of those that were on that panel. They were friends of the upper in Washington. They all had jobs or previous jobs or still have jobs connected with somebody in the government. No, that's conflict of interest.
Terry Brunner is a former federal prosecutor who now runs the Aviation Integrity Project in Chicago. Brunner checked out the commissioners and found out 6 out of 10 represent the very companies being investigated. He says they are, quote, Fred Fielding, Spirit Airlines and United Airlines. Slade Gordon represents Delta Airlines. Jim Thompson represents American Airlines. Richard Benveniste represents Boeing and United Airlines, and Representative Tom Romer, Boeing and Lockheed Martin. Richard Benveniste not only represents Boeing and United, but he also has other connections that destroy any credibility the investigation has left. In 2001, Daniel Hopsicker wrote a book called Barry and the Boys. It has an entire chapter entitled, Who is Richard Benveniste? Hopsicker says the lawyer Benveniste, quote, has made a career of defending political crooks, specializing in cases that involve drugs and politics. Benveniste represented Barry Seal, one of the most famous drug dealers in U.S. history, who also has alleged links to the CIA. He is referred to by some as a mob lawyer. In addition, Commissioner Lee Hamilton sits on several advisory boards, including those to the U.S. Army, the President's Homeland Security Advisory Council, and the CIA. Thomas Keane, the Republican chair on the 9/11 Commission, cut a deal preventing Bush from testifying and allowing the White House to edit intelligence briefings before the commissioners could see them. Senator Max Cleland resigned over the Commission's numerous conditions with the White House. In his own words, quote, that decision compromised the mission of the 9/11 Commission, period.
You know, we should have had people, you know, on a panel that had no ties with our government officials. It is wrong. It is corrupt. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, anybody that sees this interview, they better open their eyes, because this is real. This is the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Justice is not about agenda. It's not about mobilizing people. It's about dialing for corporate dollars. These two parties have sold the U.S. government and the American people to the highest bidders.